Greetings! Before I dive into today's topic, which is Gemini for Google Workspace, if you're watching this video, you're either in the pilot or it's coming soon to you, so it's a good introduction. And for some reason, if you stumbled across my YouTube channel and you're not at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Fox and Roach, many of these features are available at your free Google account, although Gemini for Google Workspace gives you more features and better security. So if you're not aware of Gemini, it is one of the many large language AI models that have been introduced by these companies. Obviously, Gemini is for Google Workspace, OpenAI has ChatGPT, Anthropic has Claude, Microsoft has Copilot, are the four major models. Since we're a Google company, we're going to dig deep into Gemini for Google Workspace and see how it can improve your productivity in your day-to-day work. I'm going to cover four major features. This is not a training video. This is more of a feature introduction video, and I'm excited to bring you how it can help you be more productive. Let's dig into feature number one. First thing in feature number one is let's look at your email. One of the things is as soon as you get access to Gemini, you'll start to see this star right here, and when you hover over it, as you're seeing here, it shows Ask Gemini. So it will show up in all areas of your Google suite, starting with email. I'm going to walk you through all of the ones that we use and kind of give you some quick examples, but I'm excited to have you discover ways you're going to use Gemini. So if I were to click this, you'll see a right side box that actually asks you, hey, what do you want to do with what you're seeing here? So I'm going to ask it, as you can see here, I want to ask it, find emails that have over 10 megabytes of attachments. You don't need to know the Google command, which we used to find out, right? We used to Google that. Just simply click that and Gemini is going to look through your mailbox and sort out, there they are, and I got a bunch of them, and it just simply found them. So you don't need to know a command to do some stuff. You just need to learn how to use Gemini. And I think that's where you're going to start to see many productivity enhancements as you see Gemini in your right vertical window, as you see here in Gmail. Again, that's just a simple example I'm giving you for email. Okay, as you go into an email, okay, so let me just click on one of these emails to summarize this email. You'll start to see that. It'll help you write responses to emails. All those, again, anytime you're using AI like Gemini, make sure I'm a big believer in human in the loop. Make sure you review your responses before you take its suggestions. Okay, so you kind of see all that stuff happening in email as well. So next thing, this is going to be a big one. Many of us host Google Meets. We organize meetings. So, and taking meeting notes is the bane of our existence. Okay, welcome to Gemini. It will automatically, it's turned on right here, as you can see. I'm just kind of showing you a sample meeting here. It's turned on. And when you end the meeting, it'll automatically summarize the meeting notes and automatically put it into the calendar appointment for people that attended, and also for people that missed can go catch up on it. It's automatic, and I would get Gemini just for that, considering how many Google Meets we go into and have set up, and we need next steps, things discussed. You don't want to miss anything. Makes you ultra productive. Okay, next one, Google Drive. Let's go into Drive. Again, depending on the place where you're at, you'll see some stuff like that. Ask Gemini, it can summarize this folder, ask about this folder. Obviously, I'm looking at my podcast recordings, but you'll start to see this. Anytime you see this, or you can click that, it will be contextually relevant to what you're doing in the moment. Okay, so that's something that you want to keep track of. Okay, next one. I want to go to Google Slides first and come back to Docs. So here's a slide presentation. Obviously, you can click this and ask it about the slide, but I want to show you something that may be a little hidden. Obviously, you're kind of used to this Ask Gemini now. It sort of pops up and you can ask it questions about the slides. Fine, easy, table stakes. But one of the things it's really good at now, I love Google Images now, but think about this. Gemini can generate images for you. So I'm going to go ahead and click Help Me Create an Image. And here's what I did. Just in the interest of time, it takes about 15-20 seconds to create a few real estate agents outside an open house. And I can get it in tall if it's going to sit like that. I can get it square or wide. So I ask it for tall. And this is a few images I got. They got 4, so I'm going to, these people are way too dressy for an open house over there, but I'm going to pick this. And I'm going to say insert, and voila, I got a really good image. And I didn't have to leave slides or go get it from somewhere else. Again, any AI image you generate cannot be copyrighted, okay, and can be used in our work. Obviously, you want to make sure it's up to quality, things like that, but for a presentation, that is a pretty darn good image it came up with. Kind of house in the background. Again, you can give it better prompts, but in the interest of time, I'm going to move along. So you can generate images right in slides. Okay, let me go back to a Google Sheets. I'll walk backwards to Google Docs. And now you can simply summarize this table. You can click that, you can do this and kind of interact with this table. Like here I said, how many recordings are completed and what's left from column E. And just as there are 17 recordings. So it sort of can interact with what's data on the left, especially if you're looking at complicated stuff. Again, it doesn't get it right all the time. I'm sure you know that, okay? But it'll get you faster to the finish line if you learn how to embrace Gemini. Okay, Google Docs. Last but not the least. So I'm looking at a document here. I'm building like a GPT or a gem, which I'm going to talk about here shortly. A 30-day challenge. So I'm going to simply kind of click this and ask it a question like I did here. Summarize this document, and you can do that. If it's a long document, it can summarize. Again, interacting with what we're seeing here on screen. So great ways to kind of leverage Gemini appropriately, and you can also click this here, help me write, right in the document. Well, also another way for it to show up. So if I say help me write, it's going to say, okay, what do you want to write about? And you can kind of give it, and it can get you started in that. Okay, so that's Google Docs. So that's the first major category I wanted to cover. Second major category I want to cover is Notebook LM. So I want you to think about this, okay? Notebook LM, in my opinion, one of the game-changing AI features from 2024. However, because we have Gemini with Google Workspace, we're getting Notebook LM Plus, which has better security, more features, all of that. So what is Notebook LM? Notebook LM simply is the power of Gemini with your sources, okay? And I'm going to walk you through a simple example of that, okay? So you can create notebooks. How often have you gotten a ton of information and sometimes you just need to get answer to one question? So as an example, to get you thinking about this, I got this 114-page T360 opportunity report back in late 2024. You can just simply add the sources here. I added the 114-page report. I mean, I have patience, but not that much patience to read the whole report. But I can now add sources and I can simply ask it a question, right? Like I did here, What are the key trends with AI? Based on the sources, and the sources, it doesn't go off on the internet. That's the beauty of it. It simply looks at the sources. So you can put as many as 300 sources that can include videos, it can include audio files, PDFs, Word docs, alike. And you can simply have all that knowledge in simply by chat. Two other things I'll point out in Notebook LM is you can create a simple podcast right here on the right, like I've done. And if I simply click on that, it's a 13-minute podcast that walks me through a 114-page document to digest complex information or synthesize the highlights. So if I were to click on that,
could say, into this really fascinating report that we got our hands on from T360. It's called
right? It's cool. Two male, female voices going back and forth, AI voices. If I didn't tell you it was AI, you wouldn't even know, would you? So, and I want you to make one audio overview and kind of play with it. Curiosity, AI favors the curious, okay? Next one. Another cool feature is mind map. So if you look at a document or anything like that, if I were to click this, mind map, and I've done already, if I click this, you'll see what the report is about based on the sources. Again, if you mix the sources, mind map might not work well. But in this case, it's saying this is made up of, real estate industry at a pivotal change. If I click that, it's going to take you to the other components of a mind. So it can give you ideas on structuring, looking at the structure of a document and kind of dig into specific areas as well. Cool features. Notebook LM is a must check out. Okay, next one. Okay, I want to go to is Gemini. Now, I've already been talking about Gemini. What do I mean by Gemini? Now, you can actually go right to gemini.google.com. So I want you to think about this. They're already embedded in all the Google Suite we do. But what if you're brainstorming and you need Gemini to brainstorm, do research, and collaborate? That's when I go to gemini.google.com and I come up with this area. So I can actually have a conversation directly with AI versus in the right gutter in the Google Suite, right? If you click this, you're going to see a bunch of models, obviously. Default is this. I'm going to show you deep research here in a second. So as an example, deep research is when was the last time you wanted to research a topic? So in this case, to demo this for you, I wanted to show you real estate social media 2025 trends. Okay, so here's what I did. I asked it to create a comprehensive report of social media trends in 2025 for agents. The goal is to identify platforms and best practices to grow the agent's reach to drive business. Simple prompt, you can be more detailed, fine. It went ahead and it summarizes the ask and asks you to confirm, and I said go ahead. And within 7 minutes, it went through 121 websites and came up with a research report backed by data it found. How long would it take me to come up with this report if I didn't have Google Gemini? Deep research exists in many places, but it's baked into Gemini. Okay, so if I keep scrolling down, again, read through it, make sure it makes sense, right? But look, here are the sources it used. Look at the websites. It keeps going on and on. Thoughts. And this, it goes through the thinking, and you can watch it while it does it, but you can leave. I kicked it off before the recording, and you could do other things and come back and it's done, right? Here's a fun thing. Export to docs. You can do that. So deep research is definitely something you should check out. Let me show you one other thing. So that's deep research. You can upload images, files, etc. Canvas is when you're creating a doc or having let me just write something here, right? A simple example. Create a 1,000-word blog post for top 5 things to do in Cherry Hill, New Jersey in the summer. Okay, simple stuff. I should have clicked Canvas, but make sure you click Canvas because Canvas opens the ability for you to edit elements of the output. Like in this case, it's sort of done it already. So if you were to do it right, make sure you click Canvas and then enter the prompt. Okay, so if I were to just take this again, and now I've had Canvas, and I'm going to pick a different town here. Okay, so let's just say Philadelphia. Throwing a bone to the Jersey people. Hopefully you're seeing that in the summer. Okay, so if you click that, now I have Canvas open. Now it opens a different window, as you can see. If you're familiar with ChatGPT, Canvas, similar. The ability to edit stuff, it's pretty much done. So it's coming first to Independence National Park. In my mind, that's a good one. I enjoy the waterfront, good. Arts and culture, Fairmont Park, savor the food scene, okay? Let's say I want to edit this, just this 4. Typically, you had to kind of prompt it. Canvas gives you the ability, you'll see these things on the right, change length of the article, tone of the article, but let's just say suggest edit. So I'm going to do that, and I want to basically say, I want to change 4 to something different. Everything else looks on point, okay? So here, so I'm going to say simply, highlight that, ask Gemini, change number 4 to sports scene. Okay, simple. I just want to, because I want to send that out to, especially in the summer, there's probably Phillies baseball going, all that stuff. So it's going to try to get this, wow, look at that. This is where you need to have oversight. It did explore Fairmont Park sports scene. That's not what I wanted, but you get the concept. I can probably still edit it and say, not Fairmont Park, Philadelphia, and it would write it. It did that, right? Because I wasn't explicit enough about Philly sports scene. It thought I meant Fairmont Park, and it said Boathouse Row, running and cycling, disc golf, all in Fairmont Park, but you get the concept. Okay, that's that. And then last but not the least, feature that I think is great is AI Studio. So think of this as your playground. Some of the features I just spoke about all make it here, but there is some features that are really good here that I think you can start to play with over time. And when you need to do that, you go to aistudio.google.com. And this is probably the final one I would encourage you to go, but make sure you're using all the other ones that I talked about before you get here. But one of the things I think Google did really well is when they launched AI Studio, if you're familiar with other AI models like I talked about, if you were to write a post, although all of them pretty much are ready to create images, like ChatGPT has DALL-E, which clearly is very below average, but when you ask it to write a post, it simply writes a text post. One of the things Google launched is, if you see this image generation, the output can be image and text. So as an example, you can just simply, I did this earlier before the recording, and if it were to load, which sometimes it could take a few seconds, you will see that I did something here that, keep going up, write 1,000-word blog post, create images in your post that are relevant. And it gave, it drafted an image, and it gave that Gemini logo. But it's the first model that I'm aware of at the time of this recording that can create text, but also generate images within the text that are very super helpful. You can also rerun this, so it'll just generate that. Same thing here, rerun this part. So as this is called, I call this the Google AI Studio Playground. So you can see, you can play with different models. There's more models here than in just Gemini.google.com. And they could name these now models better if you don't know why. Gemini, Google AI Studio is a playground, so treat it for what it's worth. You can also create two things and compare them. So, in summary, if you're getting access to Google Gemini, it is designed to boost your productivity. You will also find sometimes you may have questions, instead of reaching out to this, especially related to Gemini. I would encourage you to start going to Gemini and simply asking it the question, okay? This is like Googling something, but it's already right at your fingertips. For example, what is the Google command for our Gmail? What is the Gmail command, if I can spell, for finding files with the largest attachments? Say I want to find the command. Obviously, you can do it through Gemini, 10 meg. Okay, so let's just say I ask that. It'll give you the answers. Okay, here it is. This is the actual command I'm copying. It's giving you. So sometimes if you're looking for help, it's right in Gemini. Okay, so just ask Gemini. It'll probably give you an answer. And if I were to go here, instead of trying the right-hand side, if I needed a command, I simply do that. Get the same answer that the right side gave you because I didn't need to know it. I just need to ask Gemini for help. And it can, I recently did one where it actually helped me build a whole spreadsheet with intense formulas, all because I started interacting with Gemini. So, in closing, my message to all of you is we're looking forward to seeing how you will boost your productivity with Gemini by your side. If you find some great use cases, let us know, because this will be part of the overall training for the company's employees and agents. Great day, everybody.